A thief broke into my house and accidentally shut down my 100,000-word thesis. My ex-boyfriend, now a cop, sat across from me. 10 fractures, 3 of them comminuted. You're saying he fell on his own? Yes. The floor was slippery. He came in and just fell. Me, a world champion fighter, already made plenty of money from matches. When the thief broke in, I had just finished showering, and at that very moment, we locked eyes. Hello, may I ask, did you break in here intending to steal something? One hand holding my towel, the other holding my phone. I asked him politely. The thief spun the knife in his hand, looked me up and down with a sleazy grin, then lunged straight at me. I reacted instantly. A left jab, a whip kick, and a front push kick. But I was covering my chest with one hand. Careless, didn't dodge in time. He stumbled, then threw a back kick, using just enough force to knock me down. I hit the floor face first, replaying the fight in my head. That back roundhouse should have landed it better. No way I should have lost. But really, the main problem was this damn outfit. Too restrictive, one hand always clutching my towel, slowing me down. Otherwise, I would have soloed him, taken first blood with ease. At that moment, the thief clearly decided I wasn't worth the risk. He ran to the desk, snatched up my laptop, and tried to bolt. No, I kicked up like a carp, but I was one step too late. The cord yanked out, the screen went black. My 100,000-word thesis vanished, with the dead screen, like smoke in the wind. Inside the police station, Ivy handed me a glass of water in his casual clothes. Today was supposed to be his day off, but everyone at the precinct knew I was his ex-girlfriend. When they told him something had happened to me, I didn't expect he'd actually show up. Sis-in-law, we just got a report, so we need to ask you a few questions. Don't be nervous. Luke sat across from me with his notepad. I frowned. I didn't call the cops. I know. The criminal did. He dialed us begging for help. Luke gave me an awkward half-smile. Pathetic, I thought. And my face made sure to show exactly that. Ivy, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly lifted his head. Those dark eyes of his locked straight onto me. The suspect's got a murder case on him. We've been after him for months. Didn't expect you'd beat him into turning himself in. So, sis-in-law, Luke leaned in. 10 fractures, 3 of them comminuted. How exactly did that happen? My lips parted slightly, and I spit out 2 words. He fell. Luke's pen froze midair. He glanced at Ivy, troubled. Everyone could tell that was impossible. Ivy calmly took Luke's pen, sat across from me, and swiftly wrote down. Suspect sustained 13 injuries from assault. How'd he fall? Ivy asked, his face utterly expressionless. I met his gaze, unflinching. He tried to run after stealing, but accidentally slammed his arm against my stick. Then a steel bar fell from the ceiling, landed right on his toes. Next second, a barbell flew forward and hit him. And just like that, a rope snapped loose, and tied his hands together. Ivy nodded, wrote it down neatly. After committing theft, suspect was injured in the arm by victim with a stick, then further injured by a falling steel bar and a barbell. Before finally being restrained by rope, he slid the statement across the table to me. Read it over. Any problems? Nope. Sure enough, even after almost half a year since the breakup, this damn dog Ivy still understood me best. Luke looked at me with wide-eyed admiration. If he wasn't still on duty, I was pretty sure compliments would have been pouring out of his mouth. I walked out of the precinct, breathing in the fresh air outside, but the moment I saw the car parked in front of me, the air didn't feel that fresh anymore. It felt heavy, clouded. I'll drive you. Ivy sat in the driver's seat, rolling down the window. That cool gaze of his fell on me, scattering like starlight across my body. I let out a cold laugh. Mr. Ivy, maybe you should drive your pretty, gentle little sister instead. How could a brutal woman like me deserve a seat in your car? She's just a friend, Ivy replied. His explanation sounded as weak and unconvincing as ever, but when I looked into his sincere eyes, I gave in, against my better judgment. I pushed open the door and slipped inside. Just then, a syrupy sweet voice rang out behind me. Ivy GE, aren't you off today? Mia appeared out of nowhere. Ivy glanced at her, then looked at me through the rearview mirror. He knew I was already fuming, yet he still rolled the window down, his voice distant and detached. What is it? Ivy GE, can you take me home? Mia's misty eyes shimmered, perfectly practiced. A look no one could easily turn down. Not really convenient. Ivy pulled out a $100 bill from his wallet, handing it to her. Take a cab. I turned my head away, not wanting to watch. But through the window, I caught Mia leaning in close to whisper something in his ear. The posture was intimate, ambiguous, and he didn't even bother avoiding it. When she finished, Ivy turned his head toward me, staring for 2 long seconds before speaking softly. Baby, let me drop her off first, and then, if you drive her, I'm getting out. My eyes turned cold. Of course, I should have never pitted him. He just wanted to love us both. Classic scumbag. Ivy's hands tightened on the steering wheel, his knuckles pale. Looking at me, he coaxed gently. Baby, I'll explain everything when I get back. I didn't let him finish. I shoved the car door open and stepped out, flagged down a cab, and left. I've never believed in anyone's so-called reasons. The day we broke up, both my arms were fractured from a match. He was off duty then. I wanted him to take me to the hospital, but he said he was busy, and sent Luke instead. Later that day, while walking around the hospital, I saw it with my own eyes. He was there, accompanying Mia into a ward, so that was his busy. The next day, He finally showed up, worn out, like he hadn't slept all night. Baby, I'm sorry. There was something at the precinct. I'm late. Ivy rushed up to me, staring at my injuries, his breathing pausing for a split second, before he gripped my hand tightly. I looked at him, wanted to laugh. That excuse, it never failed him. If I didn't forgive him, then I was unreasonable, short-sighted, a bad person. That excuse left no room to fight back. It's fine. I smiled sweetly, being the understanding girlfriend he always demanded. Ivy finally exhaled, his eyes full of guilt and worry, his voice hoarse. Does it hurt? Don't just ask. Why don't you break a bone yourself? And then you'll know? I looked at him, my gaze as soft as before, but the love in my eyes was gone. He dropped his eyes, silent for a long time, as if deep in thought. Then, suddenly, he said, Baby, let's stop this. It's too painful. You've always hated pain, haven't you? We'll do something else instead. Or don't do anything at all. I'll take care of you. I knew Ivy's family was rich. Supporting me wasn't a problem, but my family wasn't poor either. Fine, but I have one condition. I lowered my lashes, arched a brow, and let the coldness seep into my eyes. Ivy lifted his gaze slightly and held my hand. Baby, go ahead. We need to break up. Otherwise, how am I supposed to take your money and support another man? I leaned against the bed, shot him a sidelong glance, and smiled with wicked delight. His amber eyes narrowed sharply, a cold and dangerous light flashing within them. Yet in the end, his voice softened as he coaxed me. Baby, it's not that I want to control your life, but watching you get beaten in the ring, I just can't stand by and do nothing. It's the same as if you were in danger and I could only stand there, helpless. I'd rather it be me getting hurt. I gave a short laugh and pushed him away. Ivy, take your useless tenderness and get lost. Don't make me hate you. As I said it, I instinctively leaned back, forgetting my hand was still injured. I slammed right into it. Ah, a low cry escaped me as the wound seemed to split open again. He immediately rushed to me in a panic, just as his phone rang. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the caller ID. It was Mia. He picked up, his expression tightening instantly, his voice low and tense. Where are you hurt? Got it, I'll be right there. The moment he hung up, he grabbed my hand. Baby, I'll get the doctor. Hang in there. Before I could answer, he ran off. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. I should have stayed still earlier. I watched his retreating figure, wanting to call him back, but he was already gone. Pain engulfed me, sharp and merciless. And beneath the pain, there was only helplessness. I waited, and waited, but no doctor came. No one came. I had no choice but to drag myself to the edge of the bed and press the call button. The alarm beeped, and soon a nurse rushed in. She froze at the sight of the blood streaming from my arm. So much blood, why didn't you call sooner? I'll get the doctor right away. My boyfriend, didn't he just go to call one? I bit my lip, my face pale. The nurse kept working while frowning. How's that possible? I'm the only one on night duty. If someone had called, I'd know. An intern standing nearby hesitantly spoke up. Actually, someone did tell me his girlfriend's wound had split and asked us to send someone. Then he just ran off. I grabbed his sleeve to ask which patient, but he shook me off. I thought he was rushing because his girlfriend was downstairs in the ER, so I followed, but I didn't see anyone. Right then the doctor arrived, quickly examined the wound, did some preliminary treatment, and told me to get a CT scan later just in case. The nurse finally let out a breath of relief, but then started scolding. What's wrong with your boyfriend? You don't just dump this on an intern and run. Can't he see her badge says intern in giant letters? It's fine. He's my ex anyway. Don't bother. I pressed on the wound, lay back down, and closed my eyes. Whatever he's caught up in may affect the lives of thousands. If he chooses to abandon me, I don't really have the right to blame him. But I do have the right to choose. And I choose not to let him be my boyfriend. The memory faded, and I stared at the endless road ahead. Suddenly, I felt at peace. One day, I'd meet someone who could accept my career, and he'd meet someone who could accept his. He wasn't a bad man, we just weren't the right people for each other. With that thought, I glanced at the bar in front of me. My mood lifted. Why not go in for a drink? I stepped inside and ordered a bottle of whiskey. The bartender double-checked if I really meant a whole bottle instead of a glass before reluctantly handing it over, only after I paid up front. I downed a quarter of it in one gulp. Not bad. By the time I'd finished half the bottle, I walked back out, swaying a little as the street lights blurred around me. The road home seemed endless. Suddenly, the roar of a motorcycle filled my ears. I turned slowly. A bike was barreling straight toward me. The rider yanked the brakes, but the speed was too much. The bike flipped, screeching against the ground, sparks flying. The man slammed into the guardrail with a pained grunt. The shock sobered me up instantly. I stumbled over and crouched down. Why are you riding a motorcycle on the road like this? It's so dangerous. The man tore off his helmet, revealing a pair of sharp, cold eyes that glared at me through clenched teeth. What road? This is a private racetrack. Nonsense, this is obviously a road. I blinked through my haze, pointing stubbornly to the side. His expression darkened further. He forced himself upright, leaning on his arm. What kind of road has a racetrack built on top of it? I followed his gaze upward. The glowing sign, 3 giant characters spelling out racetrack, blinded me. Oh, so I'd really wandered into a racetrack. Sin upon sin. Guilt flooded me. I quickly checked his arm. Your arm looks broken. Don't touch me, he snapped, trying to pull away. But I caught hold of him anyway, forgetting he was injured. He hissed sharply, face twisting in pain. I stood up, my tone grave. Don't move. I'll set the bone. He let out a harsh laugh, his handsome, arrogant face cold as steel. Like hell you will. Before he could finish, I yanked his arm and snapped the bone back into place. Dusting off my hands, I looked down at him, a little smug. Try it. See if you can move it now. His head lowered, eyes shadowed beneath the moonlight. Then, a furious shout burst from his lips. Are you my damn nemesis? Don't be mad, uncle, I soothed. I'll take responsibility. I'll take you to the hospital for a CT scan and cover all your expenses. Uncle? He cut me off, rage flaring. I'm 24. I paused for a beat, then lifted my chin. All right then, little brother. You, his hand shot up, ready to strike, but he forced a breath and pulled it back. I hooked an arm under his shoulder to support him. Don't be mad, little brother. Big sister will take you to the hospital now. He kicked at the bike in frustration, snapping at me with a scowl. Don't you dare call me little brother. In the end, I dragged him to the hospital for a CT scan and a full round of tests. The doctor said his arm was fine, though he might have a slight concussion. Nothing too serious, just needed observation. Terrified he'd end up brain damaged, I rushed through the admission process and even booked him the most expensive VIP ward. Little bro, no, wait, big bro, dear brother, have some fruit. I held the neatly prepared fruit with both hands, offering it to him reverently. Jake munched on it while watching TV, completely silent. The calmer he was, the more panicked I got. To ease my nerves, I had no choice but to babble. Brother, how about I make you some bone soup tomorrow? I promise you'll be bursting with energy after. His reply was cold and perfunctory. I tried again. Brother, do you need any help? Should I walk you to the bathroom? Help you change clothes? I can do it myself. His tone was still flat. My anxiety shot up another notch. To test if his brain was really okay, I whipped out a first-grade math test. Brother, I've got this math sheet I can't solve. Could you do it for me? Jake raised a brow, tossed the fruit fork aside, wiped his hands, and took the paper. Give me a pen. Before I could even finish handing it over, his head snapped up. His glare was dark enough to kill. You kidding me? Hee hee. I scratched my head with a sheepish grin. So, can you do it? Flames burned in his eyes. His lips curled into a smile that wasn't a smile. Punch yourself twice. I can't stand you anymore. He turned his back on me, radiating contempt. Huh? That's a bizarre request. But refusing him seemed worse. Thump, thump. I gave myself 2 punches to the chest. Loud enough, but not really painful. The man on the bed suddenly sat up, staring at me like I was some new species. Did evolution skip you or something? You just do whatever I say? I looked at him innocently. But, didn't you tell me to? His black eyes lingered on me, sharp and probing. After a long breath, he turned away again, clearly done with me. Just as I was about to coax this temperamental ancestor, my phone buzzed. Ivy, baby, can we talk? I don't want to lose you because of a misunderstanding. I stared at the screen, my eyes wavering. But in the end, I typed back with determination. Me, I know you must have had a reason for taking care of Mia. Something secret you couldn't explain. But no matter what the reason, I can't share my lover with someone else. Besides, didn't you always tell me to be good, to behave? Well, I am now. I'm good. I'm obedient. I'm not fighting you anymore. And I'm not keeping you anymore, either. Ivy, if this is how we end, are you really okay with it? Me, one day, I will be. Just as I was about to put my phone away, it buzzed again. Another message from Ivy, look up. I lifted my head, and there he was, standing right at the door. His hand was wrapped in gauze, faint traces of blood still seeping through. You're okay. I rushed toward him, but in my clumsy panic, I bumped into Jake's hand. He hissed, sucking in a sharp breath. His eyes turned icy. What the hell are you jumping up for like that? You see a ghost? Sorry. Are you okay? I grabbed his hand nervously, carefully checking the wound. Should we call the doctor to take another look? No need. Jake pulled his hand back, too lazy to argue with me. I bit my lip, guilt flooding my face. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I'll be more careful next time. Enough. Sleep. He closed his eyes, tossing out the words like they cost him nothing. Ivy stayed at the door, not stepping in, just watching me. His gaze was as gentle as always. I glanced at Jake, then tiptoed out and closed the door. Turning to Ivy, I asked softly, why are you here? He leaned against the wall, forcing a smile. Got hurt. Came for stitches. Ran into you by coincidence. That guy inside, your boyfriend? He's pretty harsh with you. Does it matter whether he's my boyfriend or not? I looked at him, but that old spark I once felt was gone. I finally understood, passion can burn out. Ivy shook his head, eyes flicking toward the window. His voice wavered. If he gets mad at you over such small things, I can't trust your future to him. He's not my boyfriend. Anyway, it's late, and you're busy. Go home. In truth, I was worried, if I stayed out here too long, Jake would probably storm out cursing. At my words, Ivy's eyes lit up briefly, then softened again. I'm actually on break these days. Not busy. Oh. My reply was flat. Back when we were dating, I used to dream that when he finally had time off, we'd go watch movies, go shopping together. I planned so much. But he was always busy. Eventually, I stopped asking. I learned I could watch movies alone. I could shop alone. Maybe he noticed the lack of joy in my eyes, because his face fell. Then, for the first time, he offered, how about I take you out somewhere? No. I have to take care of him. I peeked inside. Jake was asleep, thankfully. Pulling my gaze back, I looked at Ivy's bandaged arm and said softly, you should rest too. Heal up soon. If you need help, ask Mia. Alright. His eyes shimmered like water, like he wanted to say 1,000 things. But in the end, he just turned and walked away, his back carrying a faint loneliness. I turned back, carefully pushing the door open, only to find Jake leaning against it, staring straight at me with zero restraint. I nearly jumped out of my skin. What the hell, weren't you asleep, ex-boyfriend? His dark eyes narrowed, voice casual but edged with question. I helped him back to bed. Ex or not doesn't matter. Right now, your health matters more. Sorry for earlier, I didn't mean to hurt you. Actually, it didn't hurt. I just wanted an excuse to yell at you. Jake tilted his head back, shamelessly matter of fact. My face twisted. Do you believe I won't strangle you right now? Jake smirked, his grin wild and unruly. What's your deal? Why's your first instinct always violence? Me? Oh, I'm a boxer. I said it like it was nothing. That badass? Jake sat up instantly, his eyes lighting up. Okay, that's cool. I chuckled inwardly. After all, he was still just a younger brother at heart. You're the first person who's ever called me cool. My family and friends all think a girl shouldn't do this, say it's too painful. What's pain got to do with it? I race cars, crash all the time. But I chose it, so pain is just part of the deal. Whatever makes you happy, right? Jake grinned, carefree. Over the next few days, I kept switching things up in the kitchen, cooking all sorts of meals for Jake. Little by little, I noticed his temper wasn't as explosive as I thought. Even when I accidentally touched his wound and hurt him, he would just sigh instead of snapping at me. Sometimes I messed up 800 times in a single day, and all he did was sulk in silence, no more yelling. A bunch of business tycoons came by to visit him during those days. Sometimes he barely acknowledged them, sometimes he gave a half-hearted response. From their conversations, I finally pieced it together. Jake was the heir of the Ravens family conglomerate, the soon-to-be #1 on the billionaire list. Jake, how about I make braised spare ribs tomorrow? I asked, drooling as I watched a cooking tutorial on my phone. Jake lifted his head, those fiery, deep eyes locking on me without blinking. Luna, why do you fight in boxing matches? Is it because you need money? I put my phone down, ladling some soup for him while shaking my head. No, I just like fighting. If I ever meet someone who can beat me, maybe I'll lose interest in boxing. Maybe I'll quit. So it's about competitiveness. Jake muttered under his breath. Does it have to be a woman who beats you? Men work too. I blew on the soup and fed it to him. He took a sip, his gaze flickering as if deep in thought, when suddenly, my hand slipped. Hot soup splashed right onto his face. Ah, sorry. I panicked, dabbing at him with tissues. Jake opened his mouth like he was about to say something, but in the end, all that came out was a sigh. These days, thanks for taking care of me. Otherwise, I would have been discharged already. Come on, I said I'm sorry. I blinked up at him, tugging at the hem of his shirt playfully. Jake wiped his face dry, his eyes drifting toward the window. Go to sleep. My wounds are pretty much healed. I'll be discharged tomorrow. Oh, I answered softly. Finally, no more cooking. I could actually rest for the next few days. The next day, bodyguards and house staff came in a grand parade to take Jake home, dozens of them. Obviously, they didn't need me, so I went back to my own place. With no one to look after, suddenly I had way too much free time, and I didn't even know what to do with it. So I picked a random spot on the map and started traveling. Everywhere I went, beautiful mountains, rivers, scenery, I'd share the pictures with Jake. He always replied. At first, he occasionally shared his own daily life too, then later it became every day. I didn't even realize when my urge to share got this strong. I used to send stuff to Ivy, but he usually replied 2 or 3 days late. By then, the excitement of sharing was gone. Slowly, I just stopped sending him things. One morning, I snapped a picture of the sky, bright blue with fluffy white clouds, and sent it to Jake. Me, look, clouds. A second later, he replied with a photo of an airport. Jake, nothing going on lately. I'm flying to Huicheng to hang out with you. Where are you? I'll come find you. My heart actually leapt with joy. I sent him my location, then opened my suitcase to pick out clothes. Not a single dress. That bummed me out a little. It had been 2 months since we last met. Maybe I should put on some makeup? As it turned out, I had no clue how to do it. In the end, I showed up in jeans and a bare face to meet him for a movie. The one I originally wanted to watch had already gone off screen, so we went to a private theater instead. I'd always wanted to do this with Ivy, but he never had time. With Jake, though, it finally happened. The movie wasn't that great, but Jake's commentary made up for it. From the moment it started, his roast never stopped. Does the male lead not have a mouth? Just explain to her. Oh, forget it, another mute protagonist. He's unconscious and can't swallow medicine. How does feeding him mouth-to-mouth magically work? Is her mouth a feeding tube? Why is he just standing there? Go after her. Stop crying, chase her first, idiot. This is garbage. Not good at all. That was Jake's 10,085th complaint. Right after that, he grabbed my hand. Come on, I'll take you paragliding. I'd wanted to try before, but Ivy said it was too dangerous and wouldn't let me. Today, finally, someone wanted to take me, and I followed Jake without hesitation. Turned out, paragliding was amazing. After 1 round, I still wanted more. Then I dragged him to bungee jump, rode the roller coaster twice, hit the giant pendulum 3 times. By the end I was puking my guts out, but I was ridiculously happy. That night, I lay on the hotel carpet, my head resting against the bed behind me, a romantic film playing on the projector. Jake sat right beside me. I tilted my head back to look at him. Jake, what are we doing tomorrow? Train with me. He turned, the light cutting across half his face, sharpening those already perfect angles. That fired me up instantly. Brother, don't worry, your little sister's a professional sparring partner. Tomorrow, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Be serious. He flicked me on the forehead. So I repeated the same line, dead serious this time, making him laugh out loud. The next morning, Jake dragged me straight into the boxing room to spar. And let me tell you, he actually wasn't bad. A couple of times he almost had me, but I landed a punch just in time to turn it around. We went 5 rounds, and I barely scraped by with 5 narrow wins. Thank God I didn't lose, that would have been embarrassing. You're pretty good, Jake said, peeling off his gloves and tossing them to the floor. Then he just dropped down onto the mat, casual as ever. I lifted my chin, full of pride. Of course, I'm a professional. Then if I beat you next time, he turned his head toward me, eyes steady, voice direct. Will you be my girlfriend? I froze for a second, not answering right away. He only smirked, shrugging it off. Relax, I'm just messing with you. I like the gentle type. No way I'd go for someone like you. The words I'd been about to say instantly stuck in my throat. Irritated, I turned my back on him. Fine. Then I hope you find a sweet, gentle girlfriend real soon. Hey, are you mad? Jake poked at my arm, handing me a bottle of water. I took it, refusing to look at him. Who asks someone if they're mad, right to their face? That's the dumbest kind of straight ball. I turned away. Enough. I'm going to bed. Get out. Then, good night? Jake stood, obedient for once, and walked out. I watched his back as he left, the words to stop him right there on the tip of my tongue, but somehow, I just couldn't get them out. Guess I really am clumsy. The next morning, I got up extra early. Out of pure spite, I didn't bother waking Jake. Instead, I headed off to the scenic area by myself. It was around 7 when I got there. The place was pretty remote, but I had to admit, the view was stunning. I found an open spot, laid down a picnic blanket, and pulled out a sandwich. While eating, I snapped a photo of the mountainside scenery and sent it to Jake, just to piss him off. By the time I finished the whole sandwich, his reply finally came. Jake, why didn't you take me? Send me your location. I kept my face neutral, but inside I was grinning ear to ear as I dropped him the pin. Now I just had to sit back and wait for him to show up and enjoy the view with me. That thought had barely settled when I heard faint rustling behind me. Probably some small animal, I figured, and didn't pay it much attention, until a group of men suddenly rushed out with sacks in their hands. I spun around, caught one by the throat, and kicked another square in the chest before he could throw the sack over my head. There were maybe 20 of them in total. Even though I reacted fast, I quickly noticed something was off. The sacks reeked of some kind of chemical. A bad feeling crawled up my spine. Sure enough, in the middle of the fight, I realized my strength was draining way faster than normal. In the end, I collapsed to the ground. When I came to again, I was hanging outside a building, at least 6 stories up. Down below, a swarm of SWAT officers had gathered. I wasn't the only one. Mia was tied up next to me. I'd seen her check in on social media. Her location a couple days ago was at the same scenic area. I remembered overhearing that Ivy was tracking a human trafficking ring. Could it be them? Captain Ivy, one of the traffickers, called out coldly. We've been following you for a long time. We know these two mean the most to you. If you don't want them dead, then get me and my men out of the country. Otherwise, they both die. Their words jogged my memory. I'd seen their faces on the news, an infamous group of fugitives who had kidnapped over a dozen children. The state had put every border under the highest alert. Clearly, they'd realized escape was impossible. Now they were desperate, ready to burn the bridge behind them. Ivy, help me, Mia sobbed. She was frail, and the ropes cutting into her wrists had already turned her hands blue. If this went on, she could lose both arms. Worse, her body was slipping closer to the edge. Ivy's eyes narrowed, a deadly chill in his gaze. Let them go. Take me as your hostage instead. You'll still get safe passage out. The trafficker sneered. Just you? 1 for 2. That's a bad bargain. You pick one. He raised his knife and casually sliced through part of the rope holding me. My body lurched downward a good foot. My heart plummeted with me. Cold terror surged through me like a wave. I squeezed my eyes shut, biting back tears. Jake, I might not make it. Hurry up. I still have a few thousand words of last messages to leave you, and you're not even here yet. The trafficker then turned his knife toward Mia's rope, cutting into it. She screamed, body trembling violently. Ivy, save me. Please, save me. Ivy shut his eyes and drew in a long breath before pointing at Mia. Take me. Let her go. His gaze flicked to me, guilt shadowing his face, blaming himself for not protecting me better. Honestly, I didn't care. Not about that. What I did care about was that Jake hadn't heard my so-called last words yet. That idiot was taking his sweet time. If he didn't hurry up, he wouldn't even catch my final act. My eyes were fixed on the horizon. I didn't even notice Ivy being tied beside me. His low voice rumbled, close to my ear. Luna, I'm sorry, but between the two of you, you're the one who can endure. If this gamble fails and you die, then I'll die with you. That day, when I asked you to get out of the car while I went to pick up Mia, it was because that trafficker had been stalking her outside her apartment. And he was wrong about one thing. Mia's not the one I hold dearest. You are. She's just part of the mission. You're the one I wasn't even listening anymore. My eyes stayed on the dizzying drop below. Jake's still not here. And he calls himself a racer? How slow can a guy on a bike be? If he doesn't show, I swear I'll haunt him in his dreams. Scare him to death. Then he'll have no choice but to keep me company forever. Not a bad ending, really. I sniffled, then took a deep breath and shouted down at the officers below. Somebody get a pen ready. I've got a will to dictate. If a guy named Jake shows up later to claim my body, make sure you hand it to him. Alright, I'm gonna start now. Jake, you bastard. It's only a 2-hour drive, and you're still not here. I thought I could at least see you one last time before I died. Guess not. Forget it, I'm never playing with you again. My voice caught in my throat. Death, who isn't afraid of it? That's also why I could never bring myself to hate Ivy. It's because he's willing to gamble his life that people can live in peace. Of course Ivy fears death too. But to protect the people he cares about, he still charges straight into it, putting himself in danger. That takes courage. Admirable, yes, but it's not my concern. I only wanted to leave as many last words as I could. Jake, my bank card password is my birthday. If you can't even remember that, then you'll miss out on a fortune. A sudden explosion roared behind me. I couldn't see, but I could hear the heavy boots of SWAT officers storming in, the rattle of gunfire, and even Jake's voice? Or maybe it was just my brain hallucinating in its final moments. The next second, my rope scraped violently against the wall, until it snapped. Ah, I screamed as my body dropped. At that exact moment, Ivy tore free from his own bindings and lunged, seizing my wrist with an iron grip. Hold on to me. Don't let go. One hand clutched the rope, the other crushed mine in a desperate grip. He wound the rope around his arm again and again, skin tearing, blood running down his hand. Time slowed. The fight above us grew fiercer. I felt warm drops splattering onto my skin, his blood. I glanced up. Ivy's arm was soaked scarlet. Mia's social posts flashed in my mind, her hospital check-in, that small puddle of blood on the floor. So Ivy had already been injured days ago. If he let go of me, he could have climbed up to safety himself. But he never once loosened his grip. Luna, hold on. A rope suddenly dropped down from above. And then, I saw it. That familiar face. My heart leapt, beating so hard it nearly burst. I grabbed the rope like my life depended on it, because it did. Slowly, I was hauled up. Ivy too was pulled to safety. Good girl, you're okay, he panted. But before he could finish, I threw myself into Jake's arms instead. Big brother, why are you only showing up now? I was already writing my will. Jake's lips curved in that infuriatingly indulgent smile. Is that so? Then let me hear what you left behind. I socked him in the chest. That you're a bastard. Boss, are you okay? Did your wound tear open again? The other officers swarmed Ivy, surrounding him anxiously. Ivy waved them off, expression calm as ever. Go handle the aftermath first. It's just a scratch. A couple stitches and I'll be fine. Yes, sir. The men saluted and hurried off to secure the traffickers. I stood, eyes locked on him. Officer Ivy, are you really all right? The moment I said officer, his expression faltered, just for a beat. Then he shook his head lightly. I'm fine. I let out a sigh of relief. Good. As long as you're fine. Then I turned to Jake, starry-eyed. Big brother, how did you even get up here? You're amazing. Jake lowered his gaze and ruffled my hair. Those traffickers were stupid. Didn't even know the terrain. I know this place well. There's a basement and hidden passage that leads straight up. So I took SWAT and cut them off. So smart, Gidge. I praised him without a hint of restraint, looping my arms around his neck. I'll cook something nice for you later. Jake tapped a finger lightly against my forehead. But then, from the corner of his eye, he caught sight of Ivy. Your hand's bleeding. Aren't you going to do something about it? Ivy glanced down, shifted slightly, and suddenly, a ring slipped from his pocket. You dropped something. I bent down, but he was quicker, scooping it up first. It's for a friend. If you like it, I can give it to you. I shook my head. Since it's for a friend, it wouldn't be right to give it to me. You should keep it. All right. He tucked the ring back into his pocket, right against his chest. I tilted my head up at Jake. Brother, go help Officer Ivy bandage his wound. Come on. I've got gauze and alcohol in the car. Jake led Ivy downstairs. By the car, Jake poured alcohol over the wound. It's pretty deep. Bear with it. Ivy's gaze lingered on him before he suddenly spoke. You like Luna? Yeah. Jake's eyes lowered, his tone carrying a lazy drawl. But his gaze still burned, untamed and fierce. Ivy gave a quiet acknowledgement. Good. Be good to her. She's got a bit of a temper. Let her win more often. Jake's reply was indifferent, almost casual. Your line of work is dangerous. Ever regret it? Ivy tilted his head back, lips curving faintly. A soft smile touched his face. Never. In fact, I'm grateful. Because of my job, I get to protect the people I want to protect. Jake's hands were deft as he wrapped the gauze. After a brief silence, he spoke again. I'm not in a position to say saving Mia was wrong. But what I can give Luna, you can't. When it comes to choosing, I won't hesitate. She's the only one in my heart. You're not like that. And that's not a fault, it's just who you are. Because in Ivy's heart, besides her, there was also his people. His country. From not far away, I watched them, close enough to catch fragments of their voices. After that, Jake and I returned to City A, got our marriage certificate, and held a grand wedding. He didn't object to me fighting in boxing matches, but every month or two he'd always come challenge me to a spar. At first, I could still barely win, but after being spoiled, fed, and pampered by him, I got slower. Still, I could manage a win here and there. Today, he once again handed me the gloves. Baby, let's have another match. Alright. I smiled lightly at him. If you win this time, I'll grant you a wish. Jake lowered his head slightly, his tone almost cautious. Then, if I say I want you to stop boxing, would you promise me that? I raised a brow. Didn't you always say you didn't mind? His voice dropped even lower. I admit it, I'm double standard. If it were anyone else, man or woman, I'd call it freedom and never interfere. But if it's my wife, I just can't bear it. I want her safe, whole. Then it depends on whether you can beat me. I winked at him playfully. Jake lifted his head, took a deep breath. Here we go. With that, he threw a punch at me. I didn't dodge. His expression faltered, his fist pulling back at the last second. I let myself fall dramatically to the ground. Are you okay? I told you I was starting. Why didn't you react? Jake rushed over, panicked, holding me in his arms. Should we go get a CT scan just in case? I stayed still, then caught his hand. You won. I won? He blinked, dumbfounded. I knocked his forehead lightly. Such an idiot. Technically, he hadn't won, but I wanted to lose. So he won. The man I chose, well, I'll spoil him even if it means bowing my head. After all, the millions I earned from past matches are enough to open a little shop. 10 grand a year is just enough to buy Jake a new pair of pants. And with the few companies my parents left me, I guess Jake and I are perfectly matched.